Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Emancipated Citizen Podcast, where two human rights activists bring you the stories of some of the bravest men and women out there, standing up for their individuality against authoritarianism and injustice for a more free and just world. My name is Zach Alreyes.
And I'm Benjamin Snow.
Today's topic is going to be broadly atheists in difficult situations and getting help for them, the work of Atheist Alliance International. We're also going to be talking about freedom of religion in Bangladesh, the political situation there as it pertains to those civil freedoms. And so we're very excited to introduce today's guest, who is Tonoy Emroz. Tonoy, would you like to start by telling us a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your journey and your work?
Well, thank you guys. It's a pleasure being here with two of you, both of you guys and I. We work together at Atheist Support Network, a program by Atheist Alliance International, which I coordinate. Also, I'm the Asia director of Atheist Alliance International. At Atheist Support Network, we provide support to atheists who faces imminent danger. Our cases mostly are from the Islamic world, as you know. And that's it. We could discuss, step by step. Anyway, I come from Bangladesh, and those who knows about Bangladesh in the atheist scene, they would know that Bangladeshi bloggers are known as one of the most endangered atheist bloggers in the world. Since 2013, we have been slaughtered, and this slaughtering continued till 2018. After 2018, slaughtering is stopped, but state-sanctioned terrorism is upon us. I guess at some point we'll go deep into it and we'll be discussing it. We'll be discussing about the social scene in Bangladesh regarding atheism, atheist bloggers, religious freedom, free speech, and all other issues, and how we are persecuted by the government.
Yeah, talking about atheists being persecuted by the Bangladeshi government. Is the Bangladeshi government ruled by any kind of religious law? Is it Sharia law? Is Islamic law kind of enshrined in the constitution? Is it a secular state? About like the backgrounds and origins of the nation. It had an independence war with Pakistan. It formed its own state. It had a secular government. One of its first heads of states was a woman. It seemed later part of the 20th century to move in a positive direction as far as liberalism and diversity goes, right? How does the state structure look in terms of religious dissidents or minorities? Could you take it from there? Could you tell us about the kind of attitude that the Bangladeshi state has towards religion and atheism by extension?
So I am going to happily offend Benjamin here, since he is a citizen of the United States. We Bangladeshi seculars blame where we are now in terms of Islamism. The blame goes to the Western world. So Bangladesh, if you want to understand Bangladesh, it is quite complex. And you have to understand the history of us of at least for the last 40 years. One of our first head of state was woman. It's a democracy, so we have a head of state, which is just an ornamental position, the president. It is a parliamentarian, Westministerial government. So the prime minister is the basically head of state, the executive in the executive sense, head of government at least. And right now, and for the last 30 years, it would be 23 plus another 10. Okay, last 33 years, Bangladesh had a woman prime minister and a woman opposition leader. Past 33 years. Right now, the Speaker of the House is also a woman. We were about to get our first head of state woman this year, but it didn't happen. There was a candidate who is very secular candidate, the president. Bangladesh probably was the only country in this world that waged a war against an Islamic state, Pakistan, to have a secular state. The idea of Bangladesh was forged based on the principles of secularism. Forged behind the idea of Bangladesh, the principles were set by not just secular, you would say, many of them were atheists, like openly. We got our independence in 1971. In 1972, we adopted, if not the best constitution in the world, probably one of the best secular constitutions in the world. It didn't just proclaim secularism, it also proclaimed that no political party can use religion. There cannot be a political party on the ground of religion. In 1975, a Western-backed coup killed father of our nation, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and they didn't just stop there. They killed, eradicated, slaughtered the entirety of our top secular leadership without any trial, brutally. In that coup, they killed pregnant women, they killed children of our leaders. They tried everything secular. They tried to eradicate it. And this coup was backed by Western governments. And if you would like to know, many of those killers are still living in Western countries safely, peacefully, with all their freedoms. We cannot even get them to face justice. From 1975 to 1991, back with Western backup and with the help of petrodollar, they built thousands of Islamic schools, madrasas, all across the country. That's how they Islamized the country. They recruited mujahideen to fight in Afghanistan from Bangladesh. In 1991, since we got our democracy, it started changing. What Bangladesh did first, our leadership, we invested heavily in women education. In Bangladesh, if you are a woman, you study until your high school, year 12 is free. Also, if you go to Bangladeshi universities, there are women everywhere.
Yeah,
It's like
that's still the case even after the political shift.
yes, after we achieved our democracy.
And by the way, this isn't as a phenomenon. It doesn't particularly surprise me during this time period. Just like I guess roughly from the 1970s to mid 1990s. There was a lot of alignment between Western powers, especially the US, and hardcore radical Islamism. The US supporting Saudi Arabia and its expansion of this ideology, but
Wahhabism.
also like directly, yes, local Islamist groups in those regions. So there was this heavy Islamization of Pakistan, of Afghanistan, very notably the development of the Taliban and all of that, right? Of Indonesia, and the logic behind that, I suppose, was that it was a very useful ally or tool to use against communism, which was the main enemy at the time. So, was that the kind of situation that was going on where Bangladeshi secular government as being dangerous for being close to communism or something, and so they wanted to support the Islamists
The
against them
Bangladeshi
for that
government was
reason? Yeah.
never close to the communism. Fact was that in 1971, because of the Cold War thing, during our independence war, we were supported by Russia. We and India, we needed some. We were fighting. We needed support. We needed arms. and it was supplied to us by the Russians. Definitely, we had a close cooperation with Russia, but we were not really, you couldn't say that we were in a bloc or we were a communist country. We were never a communist country. The Awami League, the party that founded Bangladesh, this party was always democratic and believed in capitalism, market-based system. So no, we were not communist. It's just happened. That was Kissinger era policy. Kissinger era policy was really bad always. It has been. Everyone agrees with that. And we become a victim of it. That's it. Okay. And I mean, if you want to see that how Islamization happened, Bangladesh is the prime example. The prime case study, like a country founded based on secularism, like people, like millions of people fighting for secularism. That country like Islamized. It's just because they created all these Islamic schools, because it's a new country. We need a school, and everyone wants to send their child to school, and all schools they get are madrasas. So that's their option. You have to send that child to madrasas, and from the childhood these kids were brainwashed, and that's exactly happened. But okay, luckily Bangladesh, bouncing back. It's a small country with very big population, 144,000 square kilometer with 168 million people. So, resources are limited, yet economically it is emerging. It is emerging just because Bangladesh realized, our leadership somehow realized, if we do not have gender equality, if we do not allow half of our citizens to work, we cannot have the freedom we dream of for. And that's it. In Bangladesh, if you go, you'll see like millions of women are going to work. The women are in the senior position. Now, you would ask, then why atheists are so persecuted? Like if this
Yes, I,
country,
I wanted I wanted to bring this up. There was a coup in what 1971 you said, right? And before that, Bangladesh had one of the most progressive, at least a very strict secular constitution.
we still have
Is
secular
yeah, so
constitution.
that's still the case.
You have to
Yeah,
understand that it
how
is
is it that the schooling system turned into a religious schooling system, basically, despite that, and how is it that atheists, non-believers, non-Muslims became persecuted by the same state that before was espousing such pluralist and tolerant ideas?
so
How did it
basically
come to that point? And is it part of the law? Is it
no. So since okay, we had fast, from 1975 to 1991, they heavily invested in Islamic education. All the schools they built. When they built that, there were people with secular point of views at that point. They were building normal education, like a secular education system as well. Since 1991, when we had democracy, we ousted the army dictators. We started investing in a secular education system heavily. We invest 40% of our budget to education. The biggest allocation of budget, 40% is like almost half of the budget of the country invested in education.
very
It
shocking?
doesn't happen like, when it's like for 75 to 1991 for 15 years, okay? It's like 2, 3 generations they have brainwashed. So it takes a lot of time to bounce back. And this is a slow and painful process we are going through. Then the questions of persecution of atheists, as you know, we always had space for atheism. First, okay, I would like to go through the Bangladeshi constitution, what they did. Bangladesh still have a secular constitution. What they did was they introduced a few sections in the constitution, like Article 2A, of the Bangladeshi constitution, which proclaimed Islam is the state religion, which is still there. We are yet to abolish it. It didn't happen yet. Okay, it would take time, definitely. Since 2010, blogging platforms became very popular, not only in Bangladesh, all over the world. And we were able to create blog sites. And in those blog sites, we started writing about atheism heavily. It influenced people greatly. And see, a country of 92% of Islamic population, yet today Bangladesh has 3 to 4% very conservative, extreme Muslims. Not all of them. So it's a 29. Our estimate is that 29% of Bangladeshi population is conservative. 29 to 33% are conservative Muslims. Out of them, 2 to 4% are extreme Muslims. I mean, like, those with terrorist sins. Sense, okay, those who will kill for, a defamation of Islam. And in a country of 168 million people, if you calculate 4%, 2 to 4%, that's nearly few millions. That's a heavy number. Islamists were not, okay, you could imagine they would not be happy, okay, somewhere people are writing about Islam. And from 2013, we had a big revolution where we demanded death penalty. I'm not a supporter of death penalty, but it happened. Death penalty and justice for those who killed us during 1971. These are the Islamists. And top Islamist leaders in Bangladesh received death sentence, most of them, for genocide. And this revolution happened under the leadership of atheist bloggers. Atheist bloggers influenced heavily. After this revolution, the Islamists started killing the atheist bloggers.
So let me try to summarize something and get one point straight. So first we were talking about state persecution. We were talking, and then we got to the point of mob
State
justice and
persecution comes next.
the issues with atheist bloggers and things like that, right? So what kind of revolution are we talking about exactly coming up from the atheist bloggers? And I didn't completely understand the point with
If you Google
previous
Shahabad
leaders of
revolution,
the previous leaders of the deposing government, the Islamists being sentenced to death.
no, it's not what you are thinking. It is,
Did
in
I
1970.
misunderstand
Yes, you
your
did.
point there?
Yes, you
All right,
did.
could you clarify that a little bit?
Okay. During 1971, Bangladesh's War of Independence, 3 million of Bengali people were killed by
Yes.
Pakistani military and their local collaborators. And 200,000 women were raped. You can call it was one of the biggest genocide after the Holocaust. Although we didn't get recognition for it yet, we hopefully we are moving it in the UN, and hopefully we will get recognition of this genocide. So those who collaborated with the Pakistani military, this party is called Jamaat-e-Islami Bangladesh and Muslim League. After 40 years in 2013, okay, which would it be in 2009, we started the trial. In 2013, okay, the tribunal started delivering their verdict. So it was, 71 to 2013. How many years would that be? 30, 40, 43. After 43 years, we started getting the justice. The leaders of the Jamaat Islami, the top leaders, they were receiving death sentence at that time. So it was not the previous government's officials. It is
Right.
the Islamists who were involved in genocide against Bangladeshi people, those who collaborated with the Pakistani army to kill, massacre Bengali people, just a trial for crime against humanity.
That goes back to the War of Independence, right?
Yeah, the genocide. Yeah,
Yeah. All
1971.
right.
We had to get justice at some point.
Yes.
If these people wanted to stay in Pakistan so bad, why didn't they bloody well go to Pakistan after the revolution?
Well, okay, some of them were okay. They were in Saudi Arabia. They were in Pakistan. But after the 1975 coup, okay, when our secularist leaders were killed and the army dictatorship came, backed by West and petrodollar, they were back in the country. So the politics of a religious parties were allowed, so they could operate openly again. Even if some of them become ministers of the government. That's why they came back. Okay, we did genocide, but now okay, our old allies okay given us a chance, so they came back.
Yeah, so for a timeline of this, like 1971, Independence War, 1975, there's the military coup, 2009, the perpetrators during the Revolutionary War get sentenced and executed.
2013, the
2013.
verdict started coming.
Yeah, so those people were starting their trials, and during all of this time, how did the Bangladeshi state and its relationship to religious freedom and liberty develop? And would you go back to your point about atheist bloggers, free-thinking bloggers writing at the time, and how the situation developed for them specifically? What kind of situations, dangers, perhaps new difficulties they started to face?
Well, as I said before, that the Bangladeshi situation is complex. It's a battleground between secularism and Islamism. You see, a country of 92% Sunni Muslim population. You come from a country like that and you understand how it is.
Yes, I
So,
certainly do.
okay, we cannot have as right now, okay, yet, okay, maybe after 20, 30 years, we cannot have a French style free speech or French style secularism or even the US style secularism. It will take time. And you know that when in the country you have 92% Islamic population, a certain number of that would be attracted to terrorism and Islamic militancy. Okay, this is a fact. We cannot deny it. That's a reality we have to live with. Under Bangladeshi constitution, freedom of belief and freedom of religion, that's like absolute. Freedom from religion is also all right. Things happens when you start expressing your belief. Here is the fact, okay, 92% of Islamic population, and say 2 to 4% of them are extreme Islamists. They are supporter of those collaborators, so they will come to you. Now, one thing, okay, in the election process of the government, maybe these Islamists do not have a big role to play. Okay, their vote count is very minimal. However, one thing we know about the Islamists, even in the West, we know it, that you write something about their prophet, you criticize their religion, they will stage violent protest. Now, Bangladesh is an emerging economy with limited resources. The government has to provide to people. If these people create turmoil and violence, the economic process of the country stops. And these people, they're crazy. They think, okay, they're participating in a jihad. They are trying to defend their religion. They're trying to defend their prophets, what honor or whatever they calls it, okay, if they have any, or if the prophet have any had any honor, the economic process of the country stops. Also, for a developing country, you cannot ask for a police force as good as a developed country. You just cannot, okay, because of the limited resources. And imagine out of there are like 5, 6, 7 million very extreme Muslims there. Out of 5, 6, 7 millions, okay, there would be militants. And any atheist who speaks about Prophet of Islam or Islamic doctrines or Islamic religion, for them, if they kill this person, they goes to heaven straight. Okay, these are the ticket to heaven. Now, state-sanctioned terrorism comes to play here. Like some would say, the government say, if we have to stop this turmoil. So in Bangladeshi constitution, okay, at one hand it gives, grants free speech. On the other hand, it can put a restriction to it. Okay, they call it a reasonable restriction. Under that clause, in the reasonable restriction clause, they created few laws. Right now, it is Digital Security Act 2018, which they use to persecute atheist bloggers. But here's the fact, okay, after we were slaughtered heavily since 2018, within 5-6 years, okay, we bounced back. Okay, at that time, okay, we are like, 70, 80 bloggers were talking about and criticizing Islam and religion and all other religions. Now we have like thousands of people speaking about it. And this is why we have like, one of the highest blasphemy cases in the world, probably under Digital Security Act. Also 295A of Bangladeshi Penal Code, also quite a blasphemy law.
Yeah, would you elaborate on the 195A of the Penal Code, the blasphemy law in Bangladesh, and also the
295A.
digital, the 295A blasphemy law, and also the digital security law that you were talking about, and why those laws are limited to people's free expression. Could you elaborate on what exactly those are for people
course,
who
okay.
haven't?
One of the fundamental principles of free speech is that we should be able to criticize any idea, any authority. And these laws, okay, and if you know that Islam is an idea, a political idea, also it is an authority, and we should have a right to criticize it. We should have a right to, speak about it. You see, as I said, this is very complex. In Bangladesh, if you marry a 6-year-old girl, you go to prison for sure, for a long time. Even if you marry a 14-year-old girl, you go to prison. If you marry an 18-year-old girl, you go to, like under 18-year-old girl, you go to prison. If you marry second time without the permission of your first wife, you go to prison. But if you say someone married a 6-year-old girl and that person is a pedophile, okay, this is blasphemy. It doesn't make sense. Like, with one hand, okay, the state is blasphemous because the state says, okay, you cannot marry a 6-year-old girl, which is right. But if I say, like, Zach married a 6-year-old guy and Zach is a pedophile, and I mean, Zach means Prophet of Islam, that's blasphemy.
Yeah, I mean, if you're accusing me, nothing would happen to you, of course. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, Zach, okay, is metaphor. Okay, I said Prophet of Islam.
Yeah, but we don't have to elaborate it anymore on that, right? I think we've all had enough
Are you
problems
scared?
because of this kind of thing. Yeah,
You need to. That's why you need to learn about us Bangladeshi bloggers. Okay, we are stubborn as hell.
I can see that.
No
totally
atheist
see that.
blogging community was as persecuted as us, paid a price as high as us, but we do not stop. We openly say that, okay, that person is a pedophile. We do not care. Okay, you can come kill us. Okay, this is why. Okay, we're gonna win. This is why we defend our secularism vigorously, so vigorously that even the Islamists, okay, they can come kill us. Okay, but they'll still be cautious. Okay, if I go after these people, they will expose us right now. Like every Bangladeshi Islamic leader, like top of those. Okay, top Islamic leaders, they're all inside the jail. No one is out. Last year they staged like 2 days of a strike in the country, and the government said enough, put all of them to jail. So all of them are in the jail.
Do any specific cases of atheist bloggers or atheist influencers, or secular influencers in general being targeted? Especially by mobs, talking about mob justice in this in this context. Are there any specific cases that come to mind that you would like
No,
to
we do not really have
speak
mob
about?
violence. We do not really have mob violence. You know that, okay, because there is a secular sphere in the country. So
Yeah.
okay, there is, like, there is a minority torture thing happens, like, they come vandalize a Hindu village for blasphemy and stuff like that happened a few times. It happens in, like, there are a few corners of the country that are more Islamized than other corners. Like, as I said, like, they heavily build all these madrasas all over across the country. In some parts of the countries, they build more madrasas than other parts.
Yeah.
These are the small pockets, and in those small pockets, this happens. Mob violence happens, but not they do not really target a specific person. Normally, they go vandalize minority villages. In this case, okay, Hindus. So these are the minority communal attack happened. It keeps happening every now and then. But these are mainly bad people, but not many incidents of mob violence, like mob lynching of a specific person. What they do not do it from the front. They do not have that courage in Bangladesh that they will come and do it from the front. Okay, they will create a mob because they know that if they create a mob, when it comes to terrorists, Bangladesh government has a very harsh policy. The government's policy is, okay, for blasphemy, we are the state going to punish illegally, unlawfully, I would say. The state going to persecute the atheist bloggers and atheists, but the terrorists cannot. So Bangladesh eradicated terrorism in that sense. But
And that
there is,
that
but
they
now
like
the
agree to
Islamic
target the
parties,
people those terrorists want gone. So the government basically says we're gonna target them instead. You guys stay at home.
yes. But that from radicalism to secularism is a very slow process.
Yeah.
15 years of mess. So slowly we have to work. Okay, government is on the right track. Like this year, we have introduced evolution in high school curriculum, like probably the first one in the Islamic world. The students from year 6 to year 12 would learn evolution. And we started critical thinking as well. So critical thinking is not a manner as we atheists would think. It's not that, but what government introduced is students will question everything. They will read something and they, based on what they read, instead of, like, teachers questioning and a student answering, it is the students will create question. Like, you read this paragraph,
Yeah.
ask 3 or 5 questions. And in my sense, that's the best way of teaching young kids critical thinking. So we started it. Okay, like this is something massive in an Islamic country, 92% Muslim population, and the students are learning evolution and critical thinking. And when that happens, it takes us 2 to 3 generations. Not just Islam, all other religion. Okay, they would be like gone in no time. We know one thing, that being atheist activist, we know one thing, that when people start asking questions, because how I'm going to explain it, all those religious texts we read, they're like, so many inconsistencies, okay, and full of bullshit. If someone asks question, we were told that do not ask question, just obey. But now these people are going to ask question, and when they ask questions, it's gone in no time.
Yeah, that's definitely true, and it does seem like a very internally kind of torn up system with a lot of different interests moving it in different directions there, and it was kind of alarming, as you said, that Bangladesh spends something like 40% of its GDP on education, right? For comparison, a country like the US would spend something closer to 6%. Cuba, it might go up to around 13% or something like that. But yeah, 40% of the entire state's budget, that is quite surprising. And to think that despite this immense investment, people's most basic freedoms are being threatened by such widespread ignorance. It just makes me kind of wonder whether any kind of investment is going to be enough to fix the problem. Do you think this is just a matter of time? Do you think this should be taken with a different strategy, so to speak, or how do you see this going? Do you think that this is enough what's being done? Do you think more should be done? Do you think it is a matter of time? Are you optimistic about the future of this?
Here is something you need to understand. It's not the education. You see, if you look at any authoritarian Islamic government, their power has a fundamental ground. This authoritarianism, that is oppression of women. Look at Iran. Look at Saudi Arabia. Look at Afghanistan, Mauritania. It's not Bangladesh didn't just invest heavily on education. Bangladesh invested heavily on empowerment of women. And that gives me hope. When women are empowered, never ever religion will take control of that country. Because if Islam comes to power, these women will not be allowed to go to school, not be allowed to go to work. They would be treated as subhuman probably overstatement, and women will not accept it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And if I can
So
just
this
add
is what
to
it is.
what I was saying before, it does seem that with all this spending, with all this focus on women's education, from a lot of people's vantage points, it might seem that that the Bangladeshi government is doing everything that it can to get rid of those problems. Despite that, people are having to flee the country for their beliefs about religion.
I call
Um,
it collateral damage. People like me, okay, we have to accept it.
yeah. So
We
you see
are
yourself as collateral damage to the yeah.
yes, in a sense, but still, okay, we are vocal even from outside. Okay? It's
And
like we are living in a world. No matter where we are, our voices are there.
so you think you're winning the longer battle there?
Yes,
Like over
because
the
this is
long term, you think that we're going to win this, and
absolutely,
Bangladesh is going to be an enlightened nation.
absolutely. You like this. This is what you have to understand, that in the global human development index, out of 158 developing countries, Bangladesh is at the top. Despite our limited resources, we do not have money. We have corruption and every other problem. But somehow we are doing things wrong, but there are things that matters, like gender equality, education, critical thinking. In those fields, we are making massive development. Let's say this, okay? Bangladesh is probably the country where that has more elected women than any other country in the world. Right now, Bangladesh probably has 12,000 elected women. Our parliament is full of women. You go to our secretariat, okay, women are in top positions. This gives me hope that when women are empowered in a country, Islamism can never be back. we see atheism is like spreading all over the world. Not atheism, irreligiosity, humanist philosophy, humanism, and we are not humans. We are not stupid. We did bad things, but we did great things as well. And also, I would say that being human, we are inclined to freedom. We cherish freedom, and religion takes freedom away from us. This is like, education, this massive investment in education. Just like, a few years ago, there was not many atheists. Now, okay, you go to Bangladeshi social media sphere, they are full of atheists and, humanists everywhere. Even Muslims are very moderate. That really
Yeah.
brings hope to me. I'm an optimistic person. Also, I'm a hopeless romantic about secularism. And I believe, okay, we are winning in the long term. The policy is right. We are going to win. Should we make Ben talk?
Yes, we should make him talk. Ben, wake up.
Are
Yeah,
you going to talk about your cat?
Yeah, don't talk about your cat. Give him a
No,
quiz
we,
about
we
what we were
had like
talking about.
mate, we had like
Ask
serious
ask him a
conversation.
question to
yeah.
see if he was
For
paying
reference,
attention.
for our audience, there's a running joke. Before I started shutting my cats out of my room, which I mean when I was podcasting, when I was doing interviews in the public areas, my cats would always climb on my shoulders in front of the camera, just so the
Yeah.
audience knows what Tonoy's
I
referencing there.
actually have this question for you, Ben. Always like you and me. Okay, we've been working together for quite a long time. We've been trying to help atheists at risk. We work together in many cases. What do you feel like, when you work with these people and to support them? What are the main obstacles for you? Like you feel like, that what should we do more? Our limitations.
Yeah, I mean, our big limitations, I'd say, is our ability to sponsor people who are already UN registered, and we just need to find sponsors and enough money to do the sponsorship. I'd say is our big problem. Also, just the tendency of 5% of our cases to take up 90% of our time and mental bandwidth.
One main problem is probably the finance and funding the cases, because when we try to help a persecuted atheist, it costs us a significant amount of money. Like any case we work with, it will cost between 3 to 5,000 US dollar, isn't it? And it is
Yeah,
always difficult to find that money.
And depending on the case, right? If somebody is like really needs a lawyer in a place where they're not going to be provided one fast enough, or a single person's process can cost that much, right? A single person might end up needing this 5,000. We might have to run fundraising campaigns in different places to raise additional money for additional people. And yes, it's the kind of thing that's incredibly resources intensive, and there are always going to be more people in need of help than the amount of help that can be provided. So I would like to say that any support to Atheist Alliance International, specifically any support to the Atheist Support Network, does go a long way, and no amount of resources is going to waste there, right?
Right now we have like 15, 16 blasphemy cases. There is another people like atheist at risk people. That's different. Like I've been working with people as two Somali person. But other than that, we have like 12 to 15 blasphemy cases across the world. And when you fight a blasphemy case, it's not like 1 day case or 2 day case. It's a long-term process. And anywhere you try to do legal fight, okay, it costs a lot of money. And the second part is that when someone is accused of blasphemy, these people in the Islamic world, they cannot get a job or anything.
Yeah, that's true.
Support
In a
is long
community.
term. Also, even if you win a blasphemy case, after that they are not free, because as we said, okay, these people are ticket to heaven for some extremists. Okay, they get to kill these people and they think they're going to go to heaven, Jannah. So
Yeah,
their life is
yeah.
always at risk, and this is just financially it just becomes impossible for us to support these people for long term, and these people
Yeah,
need long
absolutely.
term.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
And then there's just
not to mention that they can't even say where they are long term, even if the resources or they're like
yes.
those people are gonna catch up with them. Like I, Ben, and Tonoy have worked on a number of cases where the people were in very heartbreaking, seemingly hopeless situations, like over the work of months, so in some cases years, and the accumulation of those necessary resources. We were very proud and happy to see those people
There's another
go to
problem.
safe places and start new and more fulfilling safe lives where
And
they are. So
there is another problem. Like, this is another serious problem. When these
yeah,
people mix into a safe country, the authorities, the immigration authorities, would just say, "Look at Mahdi's case." Okay, like, there's no doubt this guy was an atheist and his life was at risk.
yeah,
He's from Saudi Arabia, and authority would just say, "No, you are not a genuine atheist, so we do not accept you." And this is not only just Mehdi. Okay, last year, you see, I was working with this woman in Netherlands. Her name was Sam, and she was told, like, this person, okay, like, she's an amazing person. Uh, Ben, you may have met her at AIEGM. Okay, she was one of the volunteers, and she was behind. You know that Iranian Atheists and Agnostics. Okay, there is an organization, AI affiliate, and their Facebook page has like 200,000 followers. Okay, like such a massive movement in Iran. Okay, definitely get government's attention. And their team was exposed, and she had to flee. When she asked for protection, like, even her, a non-activist, was told, "No, you are not an atheist. We do not accept you as a genuine atheist." Last year, I worked in France with a Bangladeshi blogger of the same situation. An Iranian activist in Canada, same situation. Do you know Muhammad Hisham,
yeah,
the Egyptian?
yeah.
Everyone knows him, and that
It was on
like,
television
because
yeah.
of that, the TV clip, okay, interview clip, he became so famous. No one would doubt his life was at risk in Egypt, and he was told that, "No, you can go back to Egypt. Your life would be safe."
Yeah,
yeah,
absolute insanity there.
yeah,
So for
the
those who
blasphemy
don't
cases.
know, Muhammad Hisham was an Egyptian man who responded to an advertisement by an Islamic TV show, um, inviting atheists to come on and discuss their worldviews, and that kind of thing is very very unusual in Egypt because being known to be an atheist, especially from an Islamic background, could actually land you in prison. So yeah, he responded. He came on the show. He said he was an atheist. He was ready to discuss. All he was met with was, of course, feigned outrage at his expressions and insults at his character, suggestions that he spent his time in a mental institution for not agreeing with them on their religious views. And after that, he was like that was found out by his family as well. There were horrible consequences from that. And yeah, he ended up having to leave the country.
Yeah, that's like like this is like so. I didn't. I mean, like, it's like appalling. Like, that someone like him was told that, "No, Egypt is a safe country for you."
Yeah.
And this is like, when we say,
Like the
like,
guy was beaten up after this interview,
that
and he was like, yeah, the kind of abuse that people suffer there just for not believing, and the fact that it was so openly available there it's just mind blowing how anyone can think he's
That
safe. Like, we
that's
know about Sharif Jabir
exactly I'm saying. Like,
living and
you
hiding
might.
all those people in prison, Egypt, for their beliefs, and you come and tell me no, he's gonna be fine. Like, you have no idea what you're obviously completely clueless about what you're supposed to be giving a legal judgment on.
No, they're
So
not clueless. They know everything. They know everything.
Yeah,
They know everything.
it's kind of horrifying how Kafkaesque, well, both blasphemy cases and ex-Muslim cases can be. So the blasphemy cases show up to court, no one's even allowed to tell them what they're accused of saying in a lot of cases. In these ex-Muslim cases, I mean, maybe I see different people's opinions on than you two probably do. Where, yeah, a bunch of the right can't comprehend the idea of an ex-Muslim, and a bunch of the left would seemingly rather just have all ex-Muslims die than admit that there's a problem with Islam.
I mean, dude, okay, we deal with these cases every day, okay, and whenever we get a chance, we fight back and we fix this, okay, but not everyone know about us, and they could reach out to us because they do not know about us. Last year, 2 Saudi sisters committed suicide in Australia. One of them
allegedly committed suicide in Australia. I mean, they were found over a month after their death in a state of decomposition, so that their cause of death was not to be found out, right, or to be pinpointed. There was no suicide note or any very clear and
yeah,
indication,
but you know,
like giving their intention of killing themselves, and so I and a number of other people I know hold this proposal of a double suicide in this case
no, but
to
you
be
know what?
less likely than an attack from the outside.
No, and you know,
Especially considering that they have been contacted and have been intimidated by the Saudi authorities, considering that within the same time period, a number of people were lured back, even kidnapped, attacked, for either having escaped the country, speaking out about it. So the Saudi state is known to reach out its hand and very very far away places, as long as it thinks it has some amount of deniability there. So I I don't I would not offhand just call it a suicide. I also wouldn't say for sure that this was like an assassination or an honor killing, or anything like that, right? But yeah, just concluding that that it was a suicide, I think is not responsible in this situation. I'm sorry for the interruption.
No,
Do go
like,
on,
you
but I
know,
thought that was a very
it is
important point
the
to
Australian
elaborate.
newspaper reported it as almost suicide, and these two
It was
girls,
reported as a suicide, yeah.
okay,
Um,
and they asked for protection and
yes.
said they are atheists, and they were denied. Now you see, like, you know, two sisters, when someone denied asylum, it's normal that at one point they would be deported back to their country, and that's always in their head. Now,
But later on, their claim was accepted, I believe, wasn't it?
no, and
I
they.
will have to check the facts on that, but yeah.
Hmm.
Um,
I know this
yeah,
because, you
do
know,
go on.
after this I was featured on the Australian by the Australian.
Yeah.
Okay, so just highlighting the discrimination atheists face in the system. Like it is easy to understand. Like even a child would understand that two sisters who escaped Saudi Arabia, if they're sent back, okay, intimidation and humiliation they would face. Even they're not atheist or anyone. That's good enough reason. That's
Yeah.
for women. Saudi Arabia is not free.
Yeah. There was actually another pair of sisters that a few years ago also left a suicide note as as they were denied asylum in the United States, I believe. Let
And
me
this
look
is
that
like
up quickly.
like sometimes our work is so satisfying when we get to save a life, and sometimes it's just so tragic.
Yeah,
Like
and yeah, this is also another example of a disturbing number of people who either seemingly don't care if ex-Muslims get murdered as long as they can pretend there isn't a problem with Islam, or don't want to admit any immigrants and don't think about who we really want moving into our countries.
for me, I feel like so sorry for people and for myself. Like there's so many people applying, and because to help someone we need the resources. When I say resource, we need money. We do not have that type of money. No organization can have that type of money. We are just a small non-profit charity. And I just like, if someone is not an activist and someone is not in imminent danger, we cannot just help them. But we understand that even if they mistakenly say that they are atheists, they do not believe in Islam, okay, harm waiting for them, serious harm. But this is just our limitation. We cannot take everyone.
Yeah, and unfortunately, even people who are being very directly threatened at this moment, we're not always able to help,
No,
unfortunately,
cannot.
right?
Like
Um,
like it's like someone helped me. Asked me for help. This person is inside the jail in Egypt. He's in jail,
yeah,
and in Egyptian jail, you have to, for food and other things, you have to pay money, and his family cannot. Now, I, I am thinking, okay, if he asks for a lawyer, maybe somehow I can ask people for a lawyer, for finance, for to donors. But if I ask, like these people, this person is in the jail, he needs food. No one going to donate.
yeah.
No one.
That's very difficult, and it's as sad as it is to say it, it does seem to a lot of people like a kind of money drain, right? Like you're providing for this person is having their most basic needs met, but you're not going a step further in towards freedom or towards accomplishing anything really. And those are like very necessary costs that unfortunately sometimes also have to be undertaken for our clients' safety and well-being, especially if their family or community otherwise aren't having them, and their normal uh source for food and accommodation and income is for those related reasons around their apostasy or views and expressions being threatened, right?
This
So,
is like
so yeah, that is a very unfortunate part of it. But by the way, what we were talking about before, there was also a report from 2019 of two Saudi sisters in New York. Um, their name Rotana and Tala Faria. They were 23 and 16. and they were escaping the country's strict guardianship laws at the time. And yeah, as they thought they weren't able to stay in the United States, they decided that they would rather end their lives than go back to Saudi Arabia. And yeah, those things with suicidality as well as unfortunately a theme that comes up over and over again. Yeah, you remind me also of like talking about an Egyptian person in prison and having absolutely no way to offer help. It kind of reminds me of Saudi women who contact us on occasion, who have been so held down and sheltered by their families that they've never had a job, they don't have a bank account, they don't even have a passport in some cases. Um, there are some very basic things that are necessary to function as an adult to be self-reliant and all of that. That they just don't have in order to be helped by anyone, right? Um, so this is also something that unfortunately have to deal with on occasion. Yeah. Is there anything else one of us would like to say about resources that AI provides, ASN provides, and yeah, how people can reach us? I mean, I am a caseworker myself. There it is. I believe my internal email address is advice at ASN at Atheist Alliance Internet at Atheist Alliance .org. Right? Advice at ASN at atheistalliance.org.
And they can reach out to us to our Facebook Messenger as well.
Yeah, you can reach all of us, of course, on Facebook, on all of the social medias.
They can go
Uh,
to AI's Facebook page and they can come to us.
yes,
If
and we'll definitely link that in the description. Um,
also,
yeah.
it is
Also, let's also about supporting. Yeah. AAI. Um,
if
would you like to plug our donation page? How can people support the project that they feel are most important
the,
within the work of
the,
AI, whether it has to do with refugees, whether it has to do with UN advocacy and international relations and stuff like that. I'm aware we haven't talked about this before, and I don't know if you can answer this. So I'm sorry if I'm putting you in a difficult position, but yeah, how people can contribute to all of those projects we're talking about right now.
okay, they can donate. Of course, we are a non-profit charity, but the best way is to become an AI member. You can become
Yes,
an
how can
AI.
people do that?
Just go to AI page and get involved, and you can become AI website. I'm sorry. If you visit AI's website, atheistalliance.org, and you can become an AI individual member, which we call as supporters, and that's how we become a community of atheists. Together we empower atheist activists across the globe, and those who write to us asking for support, uh, we receive huge number of emails and Facebook message. So if you really want us to respond to you, write to us in detail, not just hi, I need help. That doesn't work. We are volunteers. We put like 20-30 hours a week to this work, and we have regular work as well, work life and other things going on in our life. So write to us in details. If you can, include evidence of threats, include your social media profile so we can see that you are an activist, you are a human rights defender, you are a belief defender, and write to us what problems you are facing. Also, threads, that is screenshots, blog post articles written by you or written about you. That will help us determine whether you are really at risk or not. And if you are at risk, if we would definitely get in touch with you.
Yes, thanks for saying that. And like Tonoy said, check out the pages, follow the links, become a member, support us, and share our content on pages if it is safe for you to do so. If it's not safe for you to do so, then don't. If you're finding yourself in a very dangerous situation, then maybe consider seeking help as well. Again, Tonoy, human rights activist, blogger, director of Atheist Alliance International. The last thing I haven't asked you about is where can people find your blog? We will, of course, link that in the description. We'll discuss the details on the links off air, so we can arrange everything in the description together. Yeah, is there anything you would like to say before we log out here tonight?
No,
Anything you would like to
thank
lay
you
off the
guys.
first of our
Thank you
listeners?
guys.
All right.
Okay. Like it was always it's a pleasure, working with you guys.
Yep, it's always a pleasure
Sometimes
working
we
with you
fail,
too, man.
sometimes we succeed, but we
Yeah,
try.
yep. It was
All
great
right,
talking
guys.
to you,
Thank you.
as it always is a pleasure. Ben, do you have anything to say before we log out?
Nothing I haven't said before. If anyone wants to help us out, would be really great is if you could do what I've been doing and put a little money aside from each paycheck to help sponsor someone at some point.
Yeah, I mean, not that I have that much money, but I like that's not something that I'm doing, and I
Yeah.
find it incredibly admirable. And like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
not
I
something
was.
that most people are ready to do for people around the world. So
Yeah. It was a lot easier to
so
do that
what
when I was
Ben does
working
there
70 hours a
is
week.
shows true moral character, I think, and I hope I'll be in the position to do it at some point, and I hope if there are if there's anyone with as much compassion and moral character as Ben, not that I'm trying to like morally guilt trip anyone, right? I
Aw,
just
you're the best, Zach.
I'm just trying to give positive encouragement to this kind of pro-social behavior, both from Ben and our audiences, of course. So, with that being said, take care, everyone. We'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.
Yeah.